Compared to what? The characteristics between plants, animals, and humans. Page 1. The introduction. This book will be up for discussion for everyone that reads it. Some might even call my comparisons outlandish, but I think there are a group of elites that really understand the animal environment. Somehow, they've watched human activities for generations. The information has been passed down through generations of these elite families and has given them the edge on everyday people. I will attempt to introduce my ideas and a few references from people in certain fields who share many of my same viewpoints. Our environments can impact a person's character because these environments are the influences of our future. Many of what I refer to as in plain sight characteristics have not been pointed out with exact comparison to specific activities, but my attempts with distinct examples can change the unknown to known. This is going to sound aggressive. Yes, very to the point, as life sometimes should be. However, it will be filled with understanding as well. I'm the new guy to all of you, the writer with no name or reader base. But I feel it is always good to learn new things that can possibly help enhance your life, rather than take away from it. As we know, useless information is a complete hazard, but this society favors popular opinion over the brilliance of no-names. People are being told what to think, how to act, what to ignore, and things are being missed in the period of intellectual sleep. However, this is the time for the ones who are sleeping to rise and gain knowledge from unique sources and avoid a few intellectual misaligned executions. There are very few who want to mutually share. Instead, they rely on individuals providing expertise in single ways. My attempts at these comparisons are only expressing my views, and I will be the source for mental depth discovery from my thoughts and ideas, but anyone can express their input. If you want to get more into depth with animals, history, or anything I'm making comparisons to or with, please search for the experts in that field. The moment you decided to read this creates an opening for understanding, for the roles animals and plants could play in your life as you learn about them. Indigenous native people of the Americas have always had a connection with animals of their lands dating back for thousands of years. Body art, clothing, food, family, character, and spiritual energy are all the things that we are connected to our everyday living. It has always been about connecting to the strength of their environment, which has sustained them until they were invaded by a few European countries. The people of Africa and Asia are also included for their practices and connections with animals, plants, and their environments. Pantheism is the view that God is everything and everyone is God. A rock, tree, sun, wind, and animals, and mainly everything that exists. Panentheism considers God and the world to be interrelated with the world being God and God being in the world. Pantheism emphasizes God's presence in the world, but panentheism maintains the identity and of the non-divine. Many of the tribes placed the plants and animals in high regard, only hunting for food. And when they would hunt, they would ask the animal spirits for permission. All tribes weren't the same in their actions. However, we could learn from the positive tribes. Many everyday people say that when speaking to their plants flourish. The animal spirits in native indigenous Indian tribes mean several things to 1,000 plus tribes. For some, it means life or sustaining of life, but others view animals as a telling of life, nature, strength, or a foreseer. Many use everything to show or represent their connection with animals. The tribes were fully dependent on animals like buffalo, which they reverence for their sacrifice. Different animals mean different things to certain tribes or clans. It is important to them. The clan is the organizer for many of these tribes. The clan acts on behalf of the group and is responsible for names, social, and economic building, also having spiritual involvement. There are many tribes that call out for the animal spirits as guides for them to find their paths in life. The totem spirit is something that chooses you, and you cannot choose it. It is the very thing that reveals itself in different ways. I can go on and on about these beautiful connections with people and their environments, but I simply attempted to point out real connections proven by the tribes. The Blackfoots, Cheyennes, Ute people, and so many others are living examples of this. For example, the shamans believe that all foresight comes from animals, like a badger that is believed to be a great communicator, an extrovert in a sense. Although these points seem obvious, I have seen observational abilities we have as humans, but for some reason we've only allowed the educational field to define our natural abilities. Why? Are many of you afraid of titles or intellectual grandstanding? There's nothing wrong with being educated in a certain field to better improve society. However, there are some things we can plainly observe and others that require professional experience. The everyday person has the intellectual potential to see things that many professionals don't want to observe, and I am writing this to add my minor observational stance on natural character. We can believe everyone that has a title is good or correct, but belief is a relative concept amongst the masses of people. The forming of the universe, stars, and earth are a few unexplainable things of how they began or what created them, but there are estimations, tests, and discussions into scientific findings. There are scientists who are atheists, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, and other who differ in scientific research and conclusions. This is an I am always right, and I have this title that said so. But for me, I'm intellectually defiant. I have eyes to observe more than just entertainment, a person's activity, and the information being provided by others. However, my eyes can make simple observations to understand things outside of our societal confines. Also, my brain can connect to information accumulated from the study of these observations. Many books have been written about so many things, some far-fetched and others sensible toward a particular subject, and I want to stay in the constraints of this subject. Convergent evolution is when the actions of least related organisms form similar adaptive traits individually because of their environments. Divergent evolution is the process by which species evolve into two or more descendants becoming dissimilar, also by tracking a species back to a common ancestor. Analogous structures pertain to species with close similar functions but not from the same origin. Homologous structures are structures from an unlike species that derive from a common ancestor or same evolutionary origin. These terms and definitions are what many who study biology deem as important because it explains the inner workings of life. Life can move forward and somehow it can also be traced back at its origin, giving us the knowledge into Earth's past. What is instinct? Instinct is a natural impulse and unalterable tendency of an organism to make a complex and specific response to an environment without involving reason. The animal does not change. It is repetitive, redundant, and does the same old every year. Humans share genomes with chimps, cows, mice, and reptiles. Many animals share some of what we humans have. In neuroscience, there's a part of the brain known as the basal ganglia. It is located on the underside of the brain that plays an important role in muscle coordination and movement. Ganglia refers to the collection of neurons or brain cells outside of the brain and spinal cord. The basal ganglia remain in communication with other parts of our brain, which allows us to perform tasks like cooking. And everything with a vertebrate contains this part of the brain, which is an important need for the body.